What is up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I have been really bombing hard on YouTube lately, and I kind of want to do this video to catch you guys up on what's going on and honestly why I've been bombing. I've been dealing with like a lot of stress and, to be honest, some health stuff going on. So it's like, give you background. We're going to be going over blood work and then a GI map in this video, but some background on what I've been kind of dealing with. For about the last like 5 or 6 months, something has been off internally. Like my stomach and like my gut has not been normal. Something's been off. I've had like slow digestion. It's been feeling like food has just been sitting here for hours after eating. I haven't been really able to increase my calories because I just kind of feel like full, like digestion is slow, maybe to TMI or whatever, but like bowel movements haven't been normal. And I've just been feeling really, really distended and really kind of like swollen through my abdomen and a really, really uncomfortable feeling. So that's been kind of hard. It's like, and like I 100% know that this is a thing that's going on because like I have a weight training belt, and in the last 5 or 6 months, it's gotten to the point where like my gut has been so inflamed and swollen with whatever's been going on, which we'll get into, that like I've been having a hard time getting that belt on, which has been pretty concerning because like I've never had an issue getting that belt all the way on, and then in prep it gets like really freaking tight. So it's like something is off majorly. So, and if you just notice that little like thing that I just did, part of what the issue is, and we'll get into that one once we get to the GI map, and we'll talk about that. But I wanted to catch you up, guys, on like health concerns, health stuff that's going on, but then additionally, kind of what the plan is going forward to resolve what's been going on. So first things first, we're going to dive and review the recent blood work that I got about a month ago, and just kind of talk through this. So this is through my like sponsored lab. It's Prime Labs here in Utah. They're great. If you're here in Utah, if you're coming to visit me for a training session, you might want to line up your blood work with them because they literally have packages starting from like $50 up to $250, doing a lot of tests that I've always been curious about, but I've never really known about. And they honestly got this back to me before the end of the day. So that was crazy that like 4 or 5 hours after getting my blood work done, they had already started sending me like copies of just like, hey, we got all these tests done, here are those values. Then like an hour later, they're like, okay, we got some more tests, here's another version. Really, really awesome. So want to go through this. So first, this first page, we're going to start with like unexpected results, which is kind of going to go over everything that's like really important. So the RBC, hemoglobin, and then the HTC hematocrit. These are all a little bit high. Basically what that indicates, blood's a little bit thick. I live up in Utah in the mountains, so there's that, but I'm also on testosterone, so that could influence it as well. So the big thing with this is, okay, time to donate some blood and get the red blood cell count down. The next big one is the cardiac CRP. So what is this? This is the C-reactive protein. Basically, it's an inflammation marker, specifically cardiac, which is an indication on whether there could potentially be like some sort of heart event coming up. So when it's an unexpected result, basically it was low. So it's outside of the reference range. So that's why it popped up there. So chances of having a cardiac related event is actually pretty low. And so like, as you can see here next to it, if you're looking either here or here, wherever I put this, the relative cardiovascular risk disease risk is low. The next one that's out of range was potassium. Took Relight and had that with my first liter and half of water before I went and got this done. So need some time to level out. Creatinine. I was on creatine at the time. Actually, I discontinued creatine, but it's only like 0.02 outside of the range, so I'm not super worried about the creatinine numbers. Alkaline phosphates. This is one that actually a lot of my clients have had issues with. And we did some research into it and what it could possibly be. And it turns out that just like people who use like testosterone or steroids will just generally always be a little bit lower on this. So that's something to just kind of pay attention to. And one thing is that like supplementing magnesium can help a lot with getting that back more into your normal range. The next one, this is one that's like a little bit concerning. So I had only had about like 36 hours off the gym before I got this blood work, but these the aspartate aminotransferase and the alanine aminotransferase, these are your liver enzymes. They're out of range for freaking sure. So it's something that definitely needs to be addressed. I think the GI map kind of talks about it a little bit more. And what we can see is that basically my liver is a little bit stressed. I think what's really going on, honestly, is that it's backed up with the things that are going on in my gut. And that like all the bile is not getting out. But I could probably also get a little bit better snapshot, taking more time off the gym before getting these blood works. And then the EGFR, so they say they want it like 90 to 120. I've literally never gotten a result of it being that high ever in my life. But this is consistent with where it usually stays at. So I don't have any issues with like water retention or anything that makes me feel like my kidneys might be in danger. So I'm not too worried about that. Sexual hormone binding globulin is low. That's expected with somebody who's on exogenous hormones. Total testosterone, as you can see, I'm about 1,000. It is high, but it is like sports medicine, kind of like optimal high. My DHEA was high as well, but I'm supplementing DHEA, and that's not exactly a bad thing either. Estradiol, that was high. So one thing that I'm taking into account is I have increased my anastrozole to balance that out, to get that closer a little bit more to like the 30-40 range, just because that's usually where I like to sit it. But I've had gynecomastia surgery, so I'm not super worried about that one. Oh my gosh, I'm going to grow it back or anything. So yeah, no. And then folate is a little bit high. I was supplementing with folate, so I decided to pull the supplementation out and just focus on getting folate from food. Follicle stimulating hormone tells you that I'm not producing natural testosterone. I am using exogenous TRT. Insulin was low, which would be expected. I was fasted when this was done. HDL is low, so that is one thing that is like we want to get the HDL up a little bit higher. So I increased the citrus bergamot that I'm taking. Oh, also, with those liver enzymes, I did increase the N-acetylcysteine that I'm taking. I was on TUDCA for a while just to try to help with that. I'm probably going to reintroduce TUDCA again, but I was starting to pull some things out just to see if what I was taking was aggravating my gut. Once again, we'll get into that a little bit more. Luteinizing hormone as well just tells you that I'm on exogenous hormones. B12 and then D. So they're both high, but it's not so high that it would be an issue. So I'm going to keep those just the same where my supplementation was with B12. I'm just not doing any specific B12 supplementation right now. The multivitamin that I have has the, oh gosh, why am I blanking out on the word for it? The methylated version of B12 in it, so it's very easy for me to absorb. The B12 I'm going to get enough from like my multivitamin, so there's no need to do extra supplementation. And then vitamin D. So the vitamin D I am taking currently 10,000 IUs daily. I am also balancing that with vitamin K just to make sure I don't build up too much calcium. Okay, so getting into the more direct tests, you can see kind of everything. The next one is like the CBC. We already kind of went over everything that was out of range there. Nothing really to go over there. The next one that I want to talk about is the hemoglobin A1C, which is just basically a control value for like a snapshot of how much glucose crystallization you have on your hemoglobin for the last 3 months, because that's about how long a hemoglobin blood cell will stay around for before it gets destroyed and filtered out of your body, and then new ones are born. So I am on metformin, 1,000 milligrams a day, and that's probably why it's so low. Additionally, I was coming out of a competition prep at this time, so it's like I had been pretty low carb leading up to this. So it's like I haven't gotten to peak off season. Peak off season is always when my hemoglobin A1C, when I wasn't on metformin, was pretty rough. Next one is the ApoB, the apolipo protein B. So what this is this is also an indication of your heart health, specifically like your risk of throwing a blood clot or having a clogged artery. So as you can see, it's within range. I do want to get it a little bit lower, so I have been using nattokinase and also been taking a baby aspirin each day to kind of help with like blood thinning a little bit, and just making sure that I'm keeping those numbers as low as possible, just so that we can maintain health. Don't throw a blood clot. Don't want to do that. Then we've got cardiac CRP, CMP. Sodium and electrolytes are all in a good spot. Calcium is right where we want it, so it doesn't seem like I have high calcium in the bloodstream. Glucose was pretty good considering where I was fasted. It is to note that it was at like 88, but I had been fasted for about 14 hours, I think, by the time that the blood work was taken. So that's one thing that kind of like, probably should have been a little bit lower, but it's not so low that I would have been like hypoglycemic. So not too worried there. If you are free testosterone actually could have been a little bit more available, but not in a bad spot. Cortisol, so this was done in the morning. So as you can see here, default range is for the AM. So I was like on the lower end for the AM, so not too stressed out right now. But for cortisol, if you want a more accurate representation of what your cortisol trends are, just if you're trying to diagnose like adrenal fatigue, is you want to do like the spit test, so that it gathers it like over the day of like what's it in the morning, 4 hours later, 4 hours later, 4 hours later. So you get like a graph on like the rise and fall of it over the day, and just making sure that it follows a normal circadian rhythm. Ferritin, follicle, pre-PSA, don't have anything wrong with my prostate. Insulin was low as well, which is to be expected. It was fasted. It's a good thing. The best, and if I really wanted to test my insulin, what we would do is I'd basically drink like orange juice, wait like 30, 40 minutes, then have a blood draw and check insulin levels. Lipid panel, everything is looking pretty good. The only thing is that we do want to see the HDL higher. Magnesium. So this is also where I decided that I needed to supplement magnesium a little bit more, because I noticed that it could be a little bit higher, and that would help with the alkaline phosphatase. And then we just get into the vitamins, which we've already gone over, and that is that. The last test is I got estrogens, which are just kind of like estrogen levels. Nothing really stood out there. By mass spec, I was at like 37.9, which does kind of indicate that estrogens were a little bit higher. And then IGF-1 with Z-score. So this was actually pretty interesting. Didn't know this. But my IGF-1 does show higher than the natural limit. So apparently I don't have issues with growing. And then that's the end of the report, guys. So that's blood work. So those are just the things. Is like main concern was like cholesterol and then figuring out lipids. So then with that, what that dives into is this next test, which is the GI map. And this is where I'm going to talk a little bit. So yeah, my gut has been messed up. like I explained earlier, like it doesn't feel like food's digesting. I feel bloated. I'm distended like all day, like from the moment that I wake up. And I haven't really felt hungry in a long time. Like it's just like it always feels kind of full because like it feels like things just aren't like fully digesting, the stomach's not fully emptying. And when I did this, when I got the GI map done, it really explains it. So if you take a look here, as you can see, I have C. difficile toxin A, which is known as C. diff. It's out of range. It's almost 3.5 times above what is like acceptable. Then scrolling down to the second page, I've got about 2 times the H. pylori that I should. Which if you just saw that burp, that is actually the H. pylori. So what the H. pylori does is it attacks the stomach, causes you to produce less stomach acid, hence why it feels like I'm not digesting things and it's not clearing my stomach very fast because I don't have enough production of stomach acid to keep things moving through. And when you have this bacteria in there and it gets overgrown, it can also deteriorate the stomach lining and you can get ulcers. So definitely something that you want to fix. So, and then another thing is, with it, you also experience heartburn and then these like weird kind of like gagging burp sensation things. And what essentially is happening is that the sphincter that is at the top of your stomach is not fully closing because it closes in the presence of enough stomach acid production. So if you're not producing enough, it stays open. And then when that stomach starts churning and stomach acid hits it, it can come up into the esophagus, cause heartburn, or if it just hits the sphincter, it'll spasm the sphincter and have a vagal response where you just kind of like have this burp out of nowhere where you're just like, ugh. And like, if you've been watching, I've done that like at least twice since this has been on. So this is something where it's like I've got to go to the doctor and get on top of this. And if you go through here, the keystone bacteria, I have multiple of these low, so I need to switch up. And like a lot of this, like the overgrowths, like the H. pylori, the C. diff, and then there's one more in here, the Pseudomonas, which is on the second page, which is like ridiculously like out of range. Like, wow, that is bad. So need to get that taken care of. Need to, and basically with those three, so the C. diff, the H. pylori, and the Pseudomonas, if I'm able to fix those, everything else should even out and get back to normal. Yeah, and the other thing that is pretty concerning is the secretory IgA. The immune response down here on page 4 is low. So essentially the immune system in my stomach and in my intestinal wall is not good at all. Like I need to get that up. So there's things that are low that should be high. There's things that are high that should be low. So that's the cut and dry of it. Is essentially that is what's wrong and what I've been feeling with my stomach is I've got some bacterial overgrowths, and we kind of figured it out with the timeline on what happened. But what I think it is that I got a bad batch of chicken from a supplement company that I worked with. Sorry, not a supplement company, a food prep company that I worked with. And, as I'm in prep, I'm just shoveling food down, trying to get it into my stomach so I feel full, but it didn't really help. I think I ate some raw chicken and then it kind of started because it's like I noticed this starting about 6 weeks or so before I did USAs, and we all know kind of how that went. That it didn't go the way that I really hoped that it did, and it was really, really rough on me mentally. But it explains everything that was going on. I was, starting about a month out or so, every time I ate, got nauseous, felt like things weren't digesting, felt like things were just sitting in my stomach. I felt like I was not making progress. I felt stressed all the time. My body just felt so beat up. And it makes sense because all these bacterial overgrowths, the inflammation in the gut, the wall line.
Oh, okay guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. My mic cut out, but I wanted to just wrap up this video. But yeah, it just makes so much sense with everything that's going on and how I felt so inflamed, like my knees have been bugging me, my elbows have been bugging me. I've been filling up, I've been waking up feeling super, super old and beat up. And this just explains it with like what's going on with my gut. So the main things that we're gonna talk about is how I'm gonna approach this. So the first things first, I met with the doctor today. That was honestly a little bit discouraging meeting with the primary care physician. I might be looking for a new one who hopefully understands bodybuilders a bit better, because to be honest, felt a little bit gaslit by the doctor suggesting that it was like the metformin that was messing up my stomach. And it's like, dude, I've been on this for I've been on metformin for over 2 years, dude. I had no issues with my stomach or like diarrhea or anything. It's literally been within like the last 5 months. So like, trust me, dude, I know my body more than you. It's not the metformin. But anyways, got a, recommendation, referral. Got a referral over to a gastrointestinal doctor here in Utah. So going to be working with them to kind of kill off the bad bacteria, which it looks like H. pylori, C. diff, Pseudomonas, get that taken care of. But then the side, so it's like I'm going to set that up. I'm going to call them and set up that meeting tomorrow. But the other side of things is, you know, you can't just kill off everything. You got to focus on rebuilding things. So it's like, we're going to be doing probiotics. I'm going to start taking immunoglobulins to help with, you know, rebuild the immune system in my gut wall lining. I'm going to look at incorporating a few kind of like natural killer herb supplements like oregano oil, olive leaf oil, stuff like that. That has good kind of like antibiotic, natural kind of killer stuff on bacteria to help kind of like even things out and just kind of aid a little bit until I'm able to get on any kind of round of antibiotic that I may or may need. And then we will be working on diversifying food, making sure that we're getting enough fruits and vegetables, Greek yogurts, different things to help build up the cultures in my gut to get everything not inflamed and get everything back to normal, and do kind of like a metabolic mentor flush and feed phase to get everything really optimal so I can get those calories up so that they can go where they're supposed to, and I'm not like feeling so beat up and inflamed all the time. So that's kind of the plan going forward, is we definitely want to wait and go see with the doctor, but we're going to be working with supplements as well, which I'm going to make a separate video kind of talking about the supplement side of things too, going a lot more specific into that, because I know that this is starting to run long. So I'll be making kind of recording videos through this process, and you know what the doctor says, what I'm doing with like diet, nutrition, changes like that as I'm working on healing my stomach, because I feel like this can be vital information for a lot of you guys. But in addition to like a lot of these supplements, like I'm probably going to be looking at working with a different health supplement company due to various reasons, which we'll go into in another video. But I'm thinking that I'm going to be stopping working with Revive just due to some issues on their end. But I'll talk about that in the other video. But I want to keep you guys in the loop. I want to give you as much information as possible because I'm getting educated into this along the way. I'm taking Metabolic Mentor University, so by the time that you see this, maybe you're having gut issues and you want help fixing it, I'll have those tools to help you to fix it and get back to normal. But anyways, guys, thank you for tuning in. Come and watch the next video with me. But I love you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Hopefully it all goes good here and we get back to healthy. But please like, share, subscribe, come back for the next video, and peace out. Bye, guys. Love ya.
Baby, read the fine print. I've got baggage and it's all Gucci. Don't get too attached to me.